Hi, soulful beings. Welcome to Sitting with Ourselves. This podcast space is for the deep discussions and reflections on many different aspects and areas about life and ourselves. From psychology, mental health and well-being, to philosophy, life theories and concepts, and topics related to our society and beyond our world on Earth, we'll have conscious conversations with thought-provoking perspectives. This is our place of being, healing, and staying grounded with our souls. Hey soulful being, how are you doing today? I hope well, and if not, I hope you start to feel better soon, so you can say without hesitation that you are well and better. Not feeling your best physically and becoming unwell from illness is never pleasant. This in turn can affect your mental health and well-being. On the other side of the same coin, being in a negative mental state for long periods of time and the stress factor overpowering one's resilience to overcome challenges can also manifest into negative physical health symptoms that leave you more vulnerable to becoming unwell in the form of illness and affect your physical health and well-being. Physical and mental health go hand in hand with each other under one's health. They are not separate as they influence each other, so it's important that we are maintaining our health and well-being both mentally and physically. Welcome to today's much-awaited episode from myself, as I've been wanting to talk about this for months, but have been taking a while to put this episode together and gather information and knowledge to further discuss this topic. Now we're here, so sit down, get cozy, and relaxed for a long discussion talk for this episode. Today, we are going to talk about how stress and sickness have been linked to each other within health. We'll dive into the world of health psychology and the profound connection between mind and body. As I've done in previous episodes, I'll also touch on a lot of studies and ideas related to these concepts and discussion topics, as well as touching on different perspectives. Health psychology focuses on how biological, social, and psychological factors influence health and illness. It concerns the relationship between psychological factors and the promotion and maintenance of health. Health psychology also follows a biopsychosocial model, which proposes biological, psychological, encompassing thoughts, emotions, and behaviors, and social factors all play a significant role in human functioning within the context of disease or illness. We've all heard that mind over matter can impact our physical health, but what does that really mean? How strong is the link between our mental state and our physical well-being? Let's explore this mind-body connection, look at examples on how stress and emotions affect our health, and talk about practical ways to improve our physical and mental health to support our overall well-being. First and foremost, I want to start by actually defining what the difference is between what is health versus well-being versus wellness, because I feel that sometimes these terms are not fully understood in terms of their differences, and for example, well-being and wellness being used interchangeably without fully grasping that they have differences in meaning. I am definitely one of those people who didn't actually know the difference between well-being and wellness and thought they were basically the same thing until one of my colleagues showed me a cool company that had a blog post on their website stating the difference between the two. When she explained that to me, I was just like, oh wow, so that's the difference, and now I understand. So shout out and thanks to my colleague for explaining that to me and showing that super cool site. I might be talking about it in relation to a relevant topic in a future episode. Anyways, back to the topic. To understand how to improve our overall quality of life, we need to look at three key concepts: health, well-being, and wellness. Although they are related, each has a unique meaning. Starting with the broad umbrella term of health, health typically refers to the absence of disease or illness and is often measured through physical health markers like blood pressure, cholesterol levels, and body composition. Though, in psychology, health can be defined as a state of complete physical, social, and spiritual well-being, not simply just the absence of disease or illness. Now, with well-being and wellness, well-being is a broader concept. It's about feeling fulfilled and satisfied in various areas of life, from personal relationships to work, purpose, and mental health. It includes emotional and social components, emphasizing overall life satisfaction and being content and healthy. Wellness involves active choices and practices to maintain or improve health and well-being. It's a dynamic process encompassing everything from nutrition and exercise to stress management and self-care practices. Wellness is a proactive and preventative approach to health and focuses on helping gain holistic health, including all aspects such as physical, mental, and social. Understanding these differences helps us to approach health in a balanced way that includes both our mental and physical needs. Now, let's begin talking about the mind-body connection. Health psychology examines how our minds and bodies are intricately connected. Emotions, thoughts, and stress levels can all influence our physical health. The mind can affect physical health and in mind-body interactions. These can operate through immune, central nervous, and hormonal systems. With the mind-body connection, we need to understand how our emotions affect our physical health. The brain, often considered the command center of our body, operates in deep coordination with other bodily systems rather than functioning in isolation. Scientific research has increasingly shown that hormones and neurotransmitters, which are our body's chemical messengers, associated with emotions can significantly impact physical health, influencing factors such as blood pressure, heart rate, sleep quality, and appetite. Research into this mind-body connection gained significant credibility when David Spiegel, director of Stanford University's Psychosocial Research Lab, conducted a study on women with breast cancer. Spiegel found that women who participated in group mindfulness therapy experienced less pain, an improved quality of life, and in some cases extended lifespans compared to those who only received standard medical care. This study helped legitimize mind-body research, and since then, numerous studies have demonstrated how closely our emotional and physical health are connected. In recent times, the link between mental and physical health has become a well-established connection, backed by decades of research showing that our psychological state and physical well-being are deeply interconnected. This relationship, often referred to as the mind-body connection, highlights how emotions, thoughts, and mental states can have direct effects on the body, influencing a range of health outcomes. Understanding this connection helps us appreciate how maintaining mental health is critical for our overall well-being, alongside the maintenance of our physical health. Let's speak on the physiological pathways of the mind-body connection. So, mental and physical health are connected through various physiological pathways, particularly through the nervous, endocrine, and immune systems. For instance, when we experience stress, the body releases stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline. In the short term, this can be beneficial, preparing us to handle challenging situations. However, when stress becomes chronic, high levels of these hormones can disrupt bodily functions, impairing the immune system, increasing blood pressure, and contributing to conditions like cardiovascular disease. Research, including the well-known Whitehall studies, has demonstrated how chronic stress, particularly related to social and occupational pressures, can contribute to long-term health issues like hypertension and heart disease. Mental health impacts physical health, and physical health impacts mental health. Mental health conditions such as anxiety and depression are often linked with physical symptoms. Depression, for example, has been associated with increased risk for chronic illnesses such as heart disease and diabetes. Research suggests that people with depression have higher levels of inflammatory markers, which can increase vulnerability to chronic diseases. Anxiety disorders are similarly associated with higher risks of conditions like gastrointestinal issues, migraines, and chronic pain. Additionally, people with mental health disorders may engage in less healthy behaviors such as poor diet, lack of physical activity, or substance use, which further increases their risk for physical health problems. Conversely, physical health conditions can significantly affect mental well-being. Chronic illnesses such as cancer, diabetes, and cardiovascular disease often come with mental health challenges. For example, the uncertainty and pain associated with these illnesses can lead to anxiety, depression, and reduced quality of life. I'd also like to add the length of time one is sick for. The longer one is suffering with their health physically, it may increase the negative mental health of individuals. I'm adding this factor from personal experience when I was sick for a long period of time, and it was starting to take a toll on my mental health, and I was just waiting to get better and recover from this terrible sickness. Continuing on with the previous examples mentioned, the experience of living with a chronic illness can be overwhelming, leading to mental health disorders that further impact treatment outcomes. Research on the mental health of patients with chronic pain, for instance, shows that depression and anxiety are highly prevalent and often worsen physical symptoms. In supporting the mind-body link, there are evidence-based interventions, which are practices or programs with evidence showing their effectiveness in producing results and improving outcomes when implemented. Evidence-based interventions such as mindfulness-based stress reduction, or MBSR, and cognitive behavioral therapy, also known as CBT, have been shown to be effective in addressing both mental and physical health issues. MBSR, a technique that promotes mindfulness through meditation, has been shown to reduce stress, lower blood pressure, and improve immune response by helping individuals manage their emotions more effectively. Similarly, CBT, a therapeutic approach focused on identifying and changing negative thought patterns, has been found to improve both mental and physical health outcomes, such as lowering symptoms of depression, anxiety, and even managing chronic pain. Exercise is another powerful intervention that benefits both mental and physical health. Regular physical activity has been shown to reduce symptoms of anxiety and depression while also lowering the risk of chronic illnesses. Studies have found that exercise can increase the production of endorphins, which improve mood, and also decrease cortisol levels, which helps in managing stress. I'd also like to share some philosophical perspectives and theories on the mind-body connection. Philosophical traditions, particularly those from Eastern perspectives, view the mind and body as fundamentally connected. Many Eastern philosophies emphasize holistic practices such as yoga and meditation to maintain balance between mental and physical health. This view is supported by research that shows mindfulness and meditative practices not only improve mental health, but also enhance physical health outcomes, such as improved immune function and reduced inflammation. In Western thought, William James and other philosophers suggested that emotions are physiological responses to external stimuli, which aligns with research showing that emotions like stress or happiness can produce measurable physical changes in the body. The connection between mental and physical health underscores the importance of holistic approaches to well-being. Recognizing this relationship is essential, as it enables us to see that mental health care is not merely about treating symptoms of emotional distress, but also about supporting physical health and preventing disease, and vice versa. By addressing both mental and physical health through integrated approaches such as mindfulness, exercise, therapy, and holistic practices, individuals can achieve improved overall health and a higher quality of life. Since quality of life is such a broad term and may be defined differently by each individual, where it would consider our own evaluation of our life in all aspects, it is complex to define it. The World Health Organization defined the quality of life as follows. Now, I need to refer to my textbook, and I forgot to get that out before the start of this recording, so I'm just going to quickly find the definition from the book. Okay, so WHO defined it as an individual's perception of their position in life in the context of the culture and value systems in which they live, and in relation to their goals, expectations, standards, and concerns. It is a broad-ranging concept incorporating in a complex way the person's physical health, psychological state, level of independence, social relationships, and their relationships to salient features of their environment. In understanding the mind-body connection, we can move on to the conversation on stress and sickness and the impact of stress and emotions on health. There are 3 broad forms of defining stress. First, stress as a stimulus or event external to the individual, whereby stressful things happen to them. 2, a physical or biological reaction, such as not being able to sleep or a fast-beating heart. And third, a psychological state where a person perceives their coping resources as insufficient to meet their demands of a stressor. An example can be when someone feels overwhelmed and that they can't cope. The impacts of stress have been explored as a cause of disease and agent in producing poorer health outcomes, such as reduced length of survival from cancer. Stress has also had a role in relation to specific illnesses or disease, with studies and findings looking at the links or correlations to cancer, heart disease, irritable bowel syndrome, and the common cold or flu. Before we get into this, it's important to note the relatively small percentage of variance in most health outcomes explained by stress, though there is an exception with the strong relationship between stress and irritable bowel syndrome. Other factors such as genetics, demographics like age and weight, the environment, also very likely play a role in health outcome differences. So just a disclaimer and something to always be somewhat critical of when it comes to research and findings in general too, is to acknowledge and be aware of the limitations of studies, as well as the idea that science can never really be proven as a fact, but only have supporting evidence to support something like a hypothesis or thought. This is something I've also learned as a psychology student. In this context, there are conflicting research findings related to stress and health relations. So, although I do mention a lot of studies in this episode that somewhat explain or support the link between the discussion of stress and health together, please do consider keeping these in mind, and it's important to consider the research sources in these other aspects too. Moving back onto the discussion of stress and emotional impacts on health, when we experience stress, our bodies release the hormones adrenaline and cortisol, which are intended to provide a quick energy boost in response to immediate danger. But even in non-threatening situations, persistent stress can still cause these hormones to be released frequently, which over time can weaken the immune system, disrupt digestion, and slow down the healing process. The link between stress and physical health is well recognized, but thoughts and beliefs also play a crucial role. Negative thinking patterns, such as assuming the worst or harsh self-criticism, can impact one's health by making it harder to address medical issues. For example, someone diagnosed with prediabetes may feel defeatist, believing that developing diabetes is inevitable due to family history, even if their doctor advises that lifestyle changes can reverse the condition. They expect or readily accept this as something that was bound to happen and cannot change. This type of thinking can reinforce unhealthy behaviors and worsen health outcomes, underscoring the importance of mind-body therapies in breaking these harmful patterns. One of the classical studies that illustrates this link is the Whitehall study conducted by Dr. Michael Marmot and colleagues in the UK. This study looked at British civil servants and found that individuals in lower employment grades or levels had higher rates of health problems like heart disease and lower life expectancies than those in higher positions. This connection wasn't entirely due to differences in lifestyle or access to healthcare. Instead, it was chronic stress from lower occupational status that contributed significantly to poorer health outcomes, showing how sustained stress can directly impact physical health. Another well-known study is Cohen et al.'s cold virus study. Researchers exposed participants to the cold virus and found that those with higher stress levels were more likely to develop symptoms. More interestingly, the longer people had been experiencing stress, the more likely they were to get sick, demonstrating how stress weakens the immune system. The study highlights how psychological stress can compromise our body's ability to fend off illness, linking emotional and physical health directly. These studies emphasize the profound way our minds can influence our bodies, showing that stress and psychological factors are not just abstract concepts, but ones that have real, measurable effects on our physical health. Digging a little deeper into the link between stress and health, it's important to note that stress isn't inherently negative. It's a completely normal and natural response designed to help us survive. However, chronic stress, the kind that's relentless and unending, can lead to a range of health problems. So, how does stress impact our health and add to the mind-body connection concept? Let's understand this more. Stress is a natural response that helps the body handle challenging or potentially dangerous situations, as I previously mentioned. But when stress becomes chronic or overwhelming, it can have far-reaching effects on both physical and mental health. The physiological response to stress involves the release of hormones that help prepare the body for fight or flight. But persistent activation of this response can disrupt multiple bodily systems, lead to various health problems, and affect our overall quality of life. Stress as a physical or biological reaction assumes that stresses are placing demands on the person, which may then manifest into a psychological response, likely having direct physical impact on health. It is the response of the autonomic nervous system to stress, leading to the fight or flight response to prepare our bodies. There are three phases. What is happening with my speaking today? Sorry. There are three phases of this psychological stress response. Firstly, alarm. This is the activation of the fight or flight. Second is resistance, which is the body's attempt to restore homeostasis or balance, but may remain over-aroused. Third, exhaustion. This is when the prolonged over-arousal causes the body to break down, resulting in disease or even death to the extreme. These three phases are helpful to understand the process of what's kind of happening in the body when we are faced with a stressor, and the stressor prolongs, carrying on for a longer time than meant to or purposed to in physical biological response. One of the clearest explanations of this phenomenon comes from the Hans-Sales general adaptation syndrome theory, which describes how the body responds to prolonged stress in the exact three stages I've just mentioned: alarm, resistance, and exhaustion. Expanding on the final stage of exhaustion, prolonged stress can lead to physical illnesses or disease, such as heart disease, diabetes, and weakened immunity, showing the cumulative toll that stress can take on the body. Now, let's explore how stress manifests in the body, the evidence supporting its health impacts, and how philosophical perspectives, I also touched on earlier, help explain the mind-body connection involved in this process with stress. Firstly, there is the physiological impact of stress on the body. When we experience stress, the body releases hormones like cortisol and adrenaline. Cortisol is our body's main stress hormone, which works with certain parts of our brain to control our mood, motivation, and fear. It's a steroid hormone that regulates a wide range of processes throughout the body, including your metabolism and immune response. Adrenaline is a hormone that helps us prepare for stressful or dangerous situations and gets our body ready for fight or flight responses. These hormones increase heart rate, elevate blood pressure, and direct energy toward handling the perceived threat. While this response is helpful in short-term situations or relevant situations where there's a real danger or threat, continuous release of stress hormones due to prolonged stress can lead to various health issues. Some examples of these health issues include cardiovascular problems, whereby chronic stress is associated with hypertension, increased risk of heart disease, and higher cholesterol levels. Cholesterol is a fat-like substance in your blood, which develops cells and hormones and also processes and digests fats. Increases in cholesterol contributes to a higher risk of cardiovascular problems like heart disease or stroke. Studies such as those conducted by Cohen and colleagues have shown that individuals who experienced prolonged stress have a higher likelihood of developing coronary heart disease and other cardiovascular conditions. Another is immune system suppression. Cortisol suppresses the immune response over time, making individuals more susceptible to infections. Research has demonstrated that people under chronic stress are more likely to catch colds and have slower recovery rates from illness. This was illustrated in Cohen's 1991 study I mentioned earlier, where participants with high levels of stress were more susceptible to the common cold virus compared to those with lower stress levels. Too much stress can also lead to digestive issues. It can interfere with digestion by altering gut motility and impacting gut microbiota, often leading to symptoms like bloating, cramps, and irritable bowel syndrome. The brain-gut axis, a pathway by which the brain and gut communicate, is profoundly affected by stress, as shown in research on how stress-induced inflammation can trigger digestive disorders. A last example is muscular pain and tension. The body's muscles tense up under stress, which, if prolonged, can lead to pain and disorders such as tension headaches, migraines, and muscle aches. This physical manifestation of stress further exemplifies the connection between mental and physical health. Next is the psychological impact of stress, touching back to the mind-body connection topic we discussed earlier. The mind-body connection refers to the idea that mental and emotional states can significantly influence physical health. This relationship has been acknowledged in both scientific and philosophical thought. In the field of health psychology, studies have shown that chronic stress not only causes physical symptoms, but also impacts mood and mental health, often contributing to conditions like depression and anxiety. Philosophers and health practitioners alike have suggested that our perceptions, beliefs, and attitudes towards stress can affect how it manifests physically. For example, Descartes' theory of mind-body dualism originally proposed that the mind and body are separate entities. However, subsequent philosophers and researchers have argued for a more integrated approach. Eastern philosophical traditions, such as Buddhism, hold that the mind and body are interconnected and influence one another. This idea has been supported by research on mindfulness practices, which shows that focusing on present moment awareness can reduce stress, improve immune response, and enhance overall well-being. In the psychological impact on the body, stress and negative thinking patterns have an effect. Chronic stress doesn't only harm the body, it can also affect mental and emotional health. Persistent stress often leads to negative thought patterns, such as catastrophizing or assuming the worst, which can further amplify stress responses and contribute to mental health issues. Research in cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, shows that negative thinking patterns, if left unaddressed, can perpetuate anxiety and depressive symptoms, reinforcing the mind-body connection. Studies have shown that practicing mindfulness-based stress reduction, MBSR, a form of meditation and mindfulness training, can help individuals manage negative thinking patterns and reduce the physical effects of stress. In the study by Davidson et al., participants who underwent MBSR training experienced lower stress levels and improved immune function, demonstrating how altering mental habits can impact physical health, in this case a positive effect. In addition to all of this, I want to touch on an example of external events and the approach that this can impact every individual differently, and one's stress tolerance or feelings of stress to the same external situation or event can in turn have a different outcome to their health, both mental and physical. Life events influence physical health, and the more one has, the greater the effects. There was a study done with 88 physicians where the greater the total stress score of a life event, the higher the risk of ill health. However, we need to note that point on different or same life events affecting different people in different ways. For example, major or minor stress can depend on the person or situations and perceptions or reactions. Philosophical perspectives can deepen our understanding of how stress and in relation to the mind-body connection impact health. The holistic views of many Eastern philosophies, such as those found in traditional Chinese and Ayurvedic medicine, emphasize balance between mind and body. According to these traditions, stress disrupts internal harmony, leading to physical and mental health issues. Practices such as yoga and meditation, deeply rooted in these philosophies, have become well established in Western medicine as evidence-based methods to manage stress. In Western thought, philosophers like William James proposed that emotions are closely tied to physiological responses. He suggested that emotions could be viewed as physical reactions to stimuli, thus creating a link between mental experiences and physical changes in the body. This view aligns with modern research showing that emotions and stress have measurable effects on heart rate, blood pressure, and immune response. I also want to share another perspective on stress and how health can be impacted by stress beliefs. Now, having a positive view or belief of stress, generally as something that isn't necessarily bad for you, can have benefits on the impact of health and can be linked to ideas on resilience too. And this would not really be referring to a more serious or chronic stress, rather just stress in general. Our beliefs about stress, whether we perceive it as harmful or manageable, play a crucial role in determining its impact on our health. Research shows that how we view stress can influence our physiological response to it, potentially leading to either better or worse health outcomes. This perspective is rooted in the idea that viewing stress as a challenge rather than a threat can help reduce its negative effects, thus supporting a healthier mind-body response. One key study supporting this idea is by Keller et al., which explored the association between stress beliefs and health outcomes. In this large-scale study, over 28,000 participants in the United States were asked about their stress levels and whether they believed stress had a significant impact on their health. Results showed that people who experienced high levels of stress and viewed it as harmful had a significantly higher risk of premature death than those who also experienced high stress but perceived it as less harmful or even helpful. The study concluded that beliefs about stress might affect health independently of actual stress levels, possibly by altering behaviors, coping mechanisms, and physiological stress responses. This research highlights that reframing stress as a manageable part of life, or even a motivator, could reduce its detrimental health effects. Techniques like cognitive reappraisal, which involves changing the way one interprets stresses, can be helpful. This approach, often used in CBT, encourages viewing stress more positively, ultimately benefiting both mental and physical health. I'd like to recommend a TED Talk video that I watched talking on this topic of stress beliefs, titled How to Make Stress Your Friend by Kelly McGonigal. She talked about this and shifting our beliefs about stress. It changes how we think and would likely influence our behavior and resilience to life challenges, including health challenges, and likely benefiting our health. As part of this discussion, I thought it would be helpful to give some ideas for actions we can take to manage our stress for better health. These are probably things you would already know and be aware of that help contribute to better health, but I will share them anyway and as a reminder for us to keep in mind and practice the ones we would like to and are able to do as part of our routines. Based on the evidence, some practical approaches to managing stress include mindfulness, meditation. Mindfulness practices have shown to reduce stress and improve both mental and physical health. MBSR programs have shown success in lowering cortisol levels, reducing symptoms of anxiety, and boosting immune function. Next is exercise. Physical activity can help reduce stress by releasing endorphins, like the body's natural feel-good chemicals, and exercises have been found to improve mood, reduce anxiety, and counteract the harmful effects of stress on the cardiovascular system. Social support. Studies show that strong social networks help buffer against stress and improve health outcomes, supporting the idea that our emotional connections influence physical and mental well-being. Cognitive behavioral therapy, also known as CBT. CBT has been effective in helping individuals recognize and reframe negative thinking patterns, which can reduce stress and improve health. This approach is particularly useful for breaking the cycle of stress and negative emotions that can negatively impact our physical health. Whether that's seeing a mental health professional such as a psychologist or therapist for CBT, or using available CBT resources found online or in books, such as techniques, models, or frameworks that can be used, CBT can be another helpful, practical approach to manage stress. Stress has a profound impact on health through both physical and psychological channels. Scientific research and philosophical ideas alike emphasize the deep connection between the mind and body, showing how chronic stress can disrupt various bodily systems and harm overall well-being. The mind-body connection suggests that managing stress through mindfulness, exercise, social support, and cognitive restructuring can enhance health outcomes, underscoring the importance of holistic approaches in addressing stress and promoting health. As mentioned above on the practical approaches to managing stress, we can also do this to support our health, well-being, and wellness overall. Adding on to the examples I just mentioned, I'll further provide some ways for how we can improve our physical and mental health in our daily lives based on research. So, adding on to the key approach of exercise, being one of the most effective ways to improve both mental and physical health, studies have shown that regular physical activity can reduce symptoms of depression and anxiety while lowering the risk of chronic diseases. For example, a study found that individuals who engaged in regular physical activity were less likely to develop depression. Exercise also releases endorphins, our body's natural feel-good hormones, which directly boosts our mood and reduces stress. Adding on to mindfulness and meditation, mindfulness-based stress reduction has shown significant benefits for mental and physical health. Studies have found that MBSR can reduce stress, enhance emotional regulation, and improve immune function. So practicing mindfulness and meditation daily can help manage stress and support long-term health. Another key behavior to maintaining and improving our health is healthy eating. Our diets also play a crucial role in our mental and physical well-being. Research in nutritional psychiatry has shown that diets rich in fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and omega-3 fatty acids can improve mental health outcomes. The SMILES trial, which stands for Supporting the Modification of Lifestyle in Lowered Emotional States, found that individuals with moderate to severe depression who switched to a Mediterranean-style diet experienced significant improvements in mood and well-being. Sleep is another important factor. Quality sleep is essential for health. Poor sleep can lead to cognitive decline, weakened immune system function, and increased stress levels. A study found that inadequate sleep was linked to higher levels of cortisol, which, as we know, can contribute to numerous health issues over time. Establishing a healthy sleep routine can improve mood, mental clarity, and physical resilience. Social connections, once again, are also very important, as mentioned previously, with the social support acting as a buffer to stress. Positive relationships and social interactions are key to overall well-being. Research from the Harvard Study of Adult Development, one of the longest studies on adult life, has shown that people with strong social connections are not only happier, but also live longer and experience fewer health problems. Engaging with a community, whether through friendships, family, or social groups, can have a profound impact on both our mental and physical health. The mind-body connection is a powerful force in shaping our health and well-being. Studies have shown that stress and other psychological factors can influence our physical health, and practices that enhance our mental state can in turn support our physical health. By focusing on holistic approaches like regular exercise, mindfulness, balanced nutrition, adequate sleep, and meaningful social connections, we can nurture a lifestyle that supports both health and well-being and wellness. Remember, wellness and well-being isn't a destination, but a continuous journey, and every small positive change adds up for your overall health. Thank you so much for joining me in today's episode. If you found this conversation helpful, please share it with others who might benefit from understanding the mind-body connection and the link between stress and illness in health psychology. I would also love to hear your experiences, learnings, and knowledge on this topic too. So feel free to share that below in the comments and your thoughts on some of the science and concepts discussed in this episode or any other that you know of. Stay well and remember to take care of both your mind and body. Until next time, bye!